Did you tell me that Melissa was going to be?
Melissa was gonna be first, but I'm not saw her. Is she online?
She's
online.
Online, okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We'll let you go first, girl.
All right. Thank you so much. Just a couple of congratulations and thank yous to get out of the way here at the beginning. First, do want to thank the board sincerely on behalf of Austin East High School, those families that experienced the tragic loss of their children over this last month, and on behalf of that, the school faculty and staff for the very gracious donation that you all were able to help us put together to honor those students. Austin East has reached out in several different ways, from, again, family members to faculty to their administration, just offering their sincerest thanks for our donations. So I want to make sure that I pass that along to you all. And we were certainly glad to be able to be a support to the Austin East family at this time, and continue to keep them in their thoughts and prayers as we continue on through the school year. They've experienced great loss, and we know that that will take time to heal. So again, continue to remember those families and that school community in your thoughts and prayers, and thank you to the board for your gracious donation to them. Also want to give a thank you to the Scott County Health Department, Mr. Shoemaker, Miss Rosemary, and our school nurses for, of course, all the work that they've done this year, but especially for organizing the vaccines here the last week. We're very thankful for that, and at least on our end, everything went flawlessly, and so received a lot of great feedback from that. It was a very quick and seamless process. We were able to get teachers out to the vaccination site there at the health department, and then back to school in relatively quick fashion. And so it went really well, and want to thank Mr. Shoemaker and everybody involved in organizing that system. So we appreciate them. Want to congratulate our Lady Highlanders on a great season. They finished up on Friday night. Again, want to congratulate them for a great season, and wish them well as they go into the off season to recuperate. Had several injuries there on Friday night that plagued that team, but hopefully those ladies will be rested up, recuperated, and ready to go for the summer off season. Our boys are still in regional play. They're part of the regional semifinals tonight at Kingston at 7 p.m. I'm not sure if or how that will be broadcast, again, because Kingston is in charge of that broadcast, and during tournaments, TSSAA has some very strict rules about broadcast. So I'm not sure if that will be featured on NFHS channel, or if they will have a separate entity that has paid to broadcast that. I'm just not sure about that yet, but that game is at 7 o'clock tonight. No tickets are available. All of those tickets were pre-sale. We did sell those out very quickly today. So there will be no tickets sold at the game, so at the gate. So just I throw that out there as a reminder to anyone in the public that's watching. If you don't already have a ticket, don't make the trip to Kingston, because they won't sell you one at the gate. And we would hate for anybody to travel and not be able to get in. And then one last set of congratulations. We did announce our top academic students for the class of 2021, and I'd like to take just a minute to read those names. Amber Adkins, valedictorian. Riley Bowling, valedictorian. Riley Cotton, valedictorian. Elisa Crabtree, valedictorian. Caleb R. Jeffers, valedictorian. Marcus Lawson, valedictorian. Keston Robbins, valedictorian, and Dawson Wright, valedictorian. We had two salutatorians, Natasha Freytag and Micah Owens. And then completing the top academic group, Abby Bridges, Gabriel Stakely, and Marcy Day. And we're very proud of those students and congratulate them on this high achievement. Again, we announced those to the students last week, and I believe that we sent those to the paper at the end of the week, and I believe they're actually published this week.
Yeah.
March the 12th will be the end of the 9 weeks, and I know that seems a little surprising to everybody that it's creeped up on us that quickly, but it is here. So just again want to remind students and parents to make sure that they are keeping up with those assignments as we are drawing closer to that 9 weeks, which will finalize that grading period. March the 16th is a very important day at the high school. March 16th is ACT Day. On that day, it's a Tuesday, we will only have 11th graders and 10th graders on campus that day. We will be giving the ACT and the pre-ACT that day. ACT is a requirement for graduation. So we are required, or all students are required to take that test as a component of graduation. So we will only have 10th and 11th grade on campus that day, simply because of COVID regulations and ACT testing regulations, which of course have changed with COVID. In order to have the space and the faculty that we need in order to do that, we can only host those 2 grades that day. And again, we'll be sending multiple reminders out to students as we get closer to that day. Also, credit recovery. We're going to get that started back here in the next couple of weeks for the second 9 weeks. We do have several students who are in need of that additional time that will help them make up some grades and make up some absences. One thing I do want to mention about absences, we've tried to have a lot of flexibility with students and families this year with attendance because of COVID, and again, wanting students to stay home if they are sick, even just as a precaution. What we're seeing now, again, and that will continue to be excused. Those days will continue to be excused. But what we're seeing now is that we are seeing an uptick in unexcused absences. So students that are missing school not for illness-related reasons. And so just want to encourage students and parents to make sure that they are at school and aren't missing school unless, again, it is an illness-related reason. Or again, one of those reasons laid out in the handbook, that students do need to be at school. It is very, very important. And lastly, just a couple of announcements. We are planning for a prom. April the 24th is our tentative date that we're planning for right now. We did receive a go-ahead on that event from the health department, and we're still in contact with them about specifics for that event. They're trying to see if there are going to be any specific regulations related to COVID that they're going to ask us to put in place to keep that event safe. So we're still in communication with them, but they did give us the go-ahead to go ahead and start planning for that event. So in like nature, we're going ahead now and we're starting those beginning stages to start planning for those other spring events, such as banquets and graduation, things like that. So again, while we may not have definite details on that right now, I do not have a definite date for graduation yet. Again, we'll be announcing those things soon, but again, we're working in conjunction with the health department, so it's kind of one step at a time as we go through those, but we are making plans. So that's a good thing, because this time last year, we weren't sure if we could make plans. So we're working on those, and we just ask that people remain patient with us as we work through that process, and we will get them information as soon as we have it. And I do have to take off to that ball game, so I will take a last chance. If anybody has any questions for me, I will be signing off. Any questions?
No question. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. I'll go backward this time. I got Miss Stanley with Winfield.
Stanley.
Hello.
Hello. I have a couple of
Go ahead.
announcements. Pardon me?
We can hear you.
Be next.
Okay. I have a couple of announcements. The health department will be at our school to do health screenings next week for grades 1, 2, and 3. And I want to kind of reiterate what Miss Rector said. We spent just very little time. It was so efficient. The way Brent and Miss Rosemary and Carrie Hamby had our vaccinations set up last week, that just went smooth as silk. So just a lot of kudos go to those people who set that up and got everybody through the shots. And I guess Winfield probably had one of the farthest areas to drive from, and we had arranged to cover their classes and all, but they were just there and back. It was terrific the way they had it set up. Also, I know it's a little late, but Winfield did want to send the school board a little something for School Board Appreciation Week. It's been a little while since all of you have been together, so we just want you to know how much we appreciate all the things that you do. A reminder that Friday, March the 5th, will be pre-K and kindergarten registration, and to qualify for pre-K, the child must be 4 on or by August 15th, and to qualify for kindergarten, the child must be 5 on or by August 15th. Thanks to Mr. Shannon and maintenance for getting our touchless faucets installed. We are really liking those. And of course, thanks to, as always, to technology for everything that they do for us. Greg, I'm really excited about getting those active panels in, and I'm still sure that we're going to be first on your list. We are also celebrating Read Across America Week. We're having a lot of participation and reading going on at school. Tomorrow in particular is Green Eggs and Ham Day, so we encourage our students to wear green. On Thursday, we're having spring pictures, and that will be basketball, Beta Club, Scholars Bowl, band, superlatives, and cheer. A reminder to parents that our yearbooks are on sale for $30. You can pay a $15 deposit and the rest when the books come in, or you can pay the $30 up front, whichever is more convenient for you. We also want to congratulate Natasha Freytag, who Ms. Rector named off as one of the salutatorians at Scott High School. She is a former Winfield student, and we congratulate her. We expected great things from her, and she came through. While I'm congratulating, I have just received a text from Bradley Stevens, who is the coach of our Scholars Bowl team, and he says in his text to me that Winfield just beat Oneida in the Scholars Bowl 190 to 170. So we've had great luck this year with our Scholars Bowl, so a big congratulations for those Winfield students. I'm sure they're very much celebrating that win over Oneida, as is their coach. So really thankful for everything that they've done on that. And that's all I have, unless anybody has questions for me.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's Amy Jeffers with Robbins.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Y'all are doing well. I just have a few little notes. We will be beginning soccer and middle school baseball within the week. We have about 8 students participating in the county baseball team and around 25 participating in soccer. We're very excited to see them be able to play a spring sport this year, and they are excited. I'd like to extend just a special thank you to our faculty and staff. Their professionalism through this entire pandemic has been amazing. They have made adjustments on the fly with little to no notice, and I appreciate their efforts, and I don't feel like I tell them enough, but they have been great. They've worked with each other, and they've done really well. Right now, we currently have no one in quarantine or sick due to COVID, so hopefully we're on a good streak and continue 5 days a week of instruction through the end of the school year. The only issue we have is we still have normal things going on, strep and just different things like that, and we have very little subs. So that's our only issue right now, so I am having to beg, borrow, and steal different areas in the school just to cover classrooms. But other than that, we're tugging along fairly well, and we're excited to be back in school.
Thank you. We got Miss Donna Goodman, high school middle.
Hello. I'm going to ditto everything that the previous principals have already said. We thank everyone that had a hand in the COVID shots. Again, like they said, that was very, very smooth. We appreciate that Mr. Hall allowed us to get subs for that day, and they had them spaced out so that, you know, we didn't have any overlaps too bad or anything like that. We could handle it. So that took some thinking, and to do that countywide, I'm sure that was a task. So we appreciate the time that they took to do that. Of course, we have all of our spring sports, like they said, soccer and baseball, softball, and all those things. They're already practicing, and games are starting here in just a few days. End of the 9 weeks is next week, and I believe the following week of the 15th, we're going to be talking about parent-teacher conferences this evening, so we can start getting those announcements out. I think right now everybody is preparing for TCAP testing. That seems to be at the top of the list right now as far as getting preparations, and because there's months and weeks of work that go into any of those tests that we take. So that is definitely something right now that's taking up a lot of everybody's time and effort, and our focus of making sure those tests, or we're getting those kids ready for those tests. I do want to thank the parents. If you've ever been through our drop-offs in the morning, it's a procedure, to say the least. I think we do a really good job to get those cars, and I've always said that I was going to try to get the number of an average of how many people come through that parking lot. We've talked about it before. I think if all those kids had to get on a bus, the county would have to buy at least 4 or 5 more buses just for Huntsville. It is a lot, and I appreciate those teachers and those assistants that come out on their own time, and they do this day in and day out, every single morning, in the rain, in the cold, every single day to make sure those kids are safe. And now they've had to put in even more time with COVID and taking temperatures and things like that. So I want to thank all of them for all of that extra time that they are putting in. I appreciate the parents who have been very, very patient. It did take just a few extra seconds to take those temperatures, but everyone was very understanding. Those have ended now. It is making the process go even faster. But we appreciate everybody, as Ms. Jeffers and everybody's already said, we appreciate everybody's patience and everything that they're doing to get us through this the best that we can. And that is all that I have, unless you have anything for me.
Thank you. I bet Ms. Hamilton was,
She should be on.
okay. Lisa Hamilton with Huntsville Elementary.
She said she was having internet problems, and I think she has dropped off.
Okay. And then Mr. Cash
Mr.
is
Cash,
down.
he's in doctor's office.
Okay. Miss Tanya, you'll be last.
Hey, I can just say ditto. I kind of like this being last business. That's pretty good. No, but I am going to echo what they said about the health department, and Brent, you're sitting right there. I cannot say thank you enough, and how smooth everything was. It was just staggering. They were just, it's like little ants going in there. So just thank you to the Scott County Health Department and all those folks. And like Miss Donna and the rest of the principals have said, we started back to school last week. And I'm sure everybody was worn out and tired because not used to doing that 5 days a week, everybody, but the parents and the students have just aced that coming in, like Miss Goodman also said, coming into the parking lot with so many people now back on campus. They are doing so well. Kids wearing their masks all the way up to 8th grade. We still, they are just doing phenomenal. The staff, again, cannot say nothing. I know that you all know that, but it's just been really good. I want to say, parents, it's great to see your kids in the building. The kids want to be there and they need to be there. It helps them not only academically, but it helps them emotionally and socially. So very, very happy about that. As well as some of those other principals have said, soccer season starts next week, which means it'll probably snow again, or we'll have them on soon. Because usually when soccer season starts, there's some sort of weather front that always happens. But we're just going to be very prayerful about that to make sure that these kids are getting to enjoy that season. Thankfully, the kids from Winfield are going to join Birchfield this year on our soccer team. So we're looking forward to having those Winfield players join us there at Birchfield. And just to help round out our team just a little bit more as well. So very thankful about that, but I don't have anything for the agenda unless y'all have something for me.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Shannon.
Thank you. First off, with the maintenance side of it, as always, I want to make sure and thank Greg Claiborne and his crew of guys. They have been working very, very hard doing some of the obviously maintenance requests and covering those facets of the program, but also installing some of the things, the COVID-related purchases that was made. They're doing a great job with that. Presently, that crew is working on installing a middle school scoreboard at Huntsville Middle, excuse me. And they are finishing up the preparation of that. They should have that scoreboard hung by the end of this week and ready for the beginning of soccer season. That will leave the county with only one scoreboard for a football field left, and that's Birchfield. So we'll get on that one very quickly as well. We do have 2 bid requests for the agenda to present to the Board of Education. The first bid request, we're asking again for the re-roof of the Board of Education building to be bid. This bid would be to remove and replace the roof at the Board of Education office and all the necessary work, materials, and equipment to complete the job. So that one will be a FY21 fiscal bid and project. Also, the second bid request that we have, we're asking to replace the fire alarm panel at Scott High School. This bid would be to remove and replace the fire alarm panel, include all the necessary work, materials, and equipment to complete that job. That particular bid request would be an FY22 fiscal year project. So the plan would be, if the board approves the bid request and then accepts the bid, we would try to schedule that the earliest part of July so that it would be the least intrusive or invasive to the office and administration there. So unless anyone has any questions on that, I'll move to the textbooks. I will tell you also that Alan Hill of Upland Design said that he can plan on being at the board meeting on March the 11th to field any questions about any of the bids or anything like that. For the textbooks, really owe a big thank you to Miss Amanda Stevens and her PLC math teacher group. We had asked those folks to examine, evaluate the math textbooks that we're considering to fill the 2-year math gap for adopted materials for K through 8. Also need to thank the high school teachers and Ms. Rector for the high school evaluation. Our groups evaluated all green rated materials from Ed Reports. So these are the best that these companies have to offer. And the Ed Reports is an independent reviewer, and they had the highest ratings. And we did have samples from McGraw-Hill, Reveal Math, HMH, N2 Math, Savas, Pearson, Envision Math. I was informed today that the group has selected for K through 8 the Savas Pearson's Envision Math. So we will have one continuous program from grades K through 8. And these programs rate very, very well compared to what we were using prior to now. Our high school has also chosen Savas Envision Math Series for all of the math programs at Scott High School. So we'll be working on getting cost proposals and the necessary paperwork to make those purchases so that we have those materials rolling in to our schools as soon as possible. I also do want to update you, the next book adoption will be for mathematics, and that will be in the school year of 2022 and 23. So we will have to go through the full committee evaluation and selection process at that time, but then that will be a 6-year adoption that was presently scheduled for this year, but it was pushed back. One quick update on CTE. We have completed the FY22 CTE Perkins Basic Application Friday, and have got that in the hands of the state reviewers. So we're expecting word on that no later than April the 15th, and we'll move ahead. It's a very easy process. The advisory council that we have for the CTE programs do a good job on giving us input, and our teachers have really gotten involved in the process and made a lot of requests. So it made a very easy process to fill out that budget and the goals and the action steps and things like that. So with that, I'm done unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Greg Bond, do you want to be next?
Sure. I do have one item for the agenda, and that is to award the bids for communication services, telecommunication services, and internet access. I'll have that written out for you on the agenda. But really nothing has changed from last year. We did have to put out what's called a mini bid with the state in order to use their state contract. They qualify a list of vendors that we can then go in and select from to provide internet services. And this year was a renewal year or not renewal, but a year where we had to redo the mini bid process. We did that 2 weeks ago, sent that out, and the deadline was yesterday. And we had just one company submit to provide our internet access, and that was ENA. And ENA has been our internet provider for 20 years or more. So that wasn't a surprise. So it won't be anything different than last year. So that is the one item I have on the agenda. For just status report, we have started delivering laptops for second grade. So that means we've got everything second and up delivered to the school. Well, parts of second. We should hopefully have second by the end of this week. We got hit by COVID again, so I'm down a person again, quarantine-wise. But hopefully we'll have that done. And Tom tells me that we will have enough devices left out of this first purchase wave in order to do first grade. So as soon as we get second rolled out, first will be the next. So we'll have that done. It's what, 1st of March. It's taken us since we got them in October, I believe is when we received them. So it's not too shabby to roll out, 2,500 devices. Other things going on in the departments, just, putting out fires as normal. Can't really think of anything else of major note. You have any questions for me?
We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Shoemaker.
Hello. I want to start off with, as what everyone's already talked about, the COVID vaccines and the health department. Just want to brag on them on exactly what they done. The scheduling, the flow, what they done for us was amazing, and it really was, because when it's all said and done, right now we average about 148 people in those 2 days is what we scheduled for the vaccines, and that's not including just us. They did not shut their offices down just for us. That was 65 and older that they also had coming in, so they had general public coming in also with appointments and schedules during that time. So to Carrie Hamby and her staff, what an amazing job they done. And also our schools on how great it was for them to organize for subs and people to communicate and commute back and forth. It was just wonderful. So I don't think I've heard one problem through the whole 2 days. And we actually had 3 days, because we had a couple of people that had to roll over to that Wednesday. But still yet, it was just amazing on their part. So we want to thank them very much for that. We could not accomplish that on our own without them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the majority of our second doses are the 23rd and 24th of March. So that's when the majority of our second doses, I think, are. So we'll be doing this kind of, I guess, again during that time frame. The next thing I want to talk about is, I mentioned this to Mr. Hall last week, but I kind of got it finalized just I guess maybe an hour and a half ago. Kind of, I guess, a sense of us getting back to some normalcy. The Mountain People's Health Clinics, and our principals don't even know this yet, Mountain People's Health Clinics are going to be able to do our sports physicals again this year. So we're going to be able to bust them to the Boys and Girls Club. We're going to try to work together with our principals the next couple of days. So principals, I'll be getting with you to kind of get a schedule put in place so that we can get the paperwork out, because normally we start this process the end of January, 1st of February. We're already into March, so we've kind of got to get some things rolling, but we're just thankful that we're able to do that and that Mountain Peoples is willing to do that for us. Last year was a little bit hectic trying to get all the paperwork out to everybody, then coming to the schools, picking it up, and then getting it returned back in and making sure our athletes are clear to play, but we're going to be able to get back to the way we have done it in the past, so we're very thankful about that. The next thing I have, and it's, I guess it's a combo between me and Miss Amanda. She asked me to mention it tonight. Is an agenda item for a bid request for the window tinting. We have done this through most of our schools the last 2 years, and we are looking at going to Scott High and Robbins for those 2 schools this year. I am in the process. I've got a gentleman we're working out of time for me and him to go meet and go through those 2 schools on the outside looking at the windows. I've already got the specs for the windows, but because those 2 schools have some windows already tinted, I want him to go through that with me just to make sure we get the exact specs and measurements correct for that bid process. And with that also, with those 2 schools, because Alternative is tied to Scott High, I think they only have a door window, maybe 2 on the side, so we're looking to include that in the bid also. And then possibly, depending on where we are, maybe money-wise, we're looking at adding the Board of Ed in that also. So he's going to come out with me and help me kind of get those things. So we don't have the specs for you just yet for you to look at, but hopefully by Monday, if that's okay with you all, that's when I'll be sending that to you. We're trying to get some dates lined out for us to meet with his schedule. Do you all have any questions about that? That will be paid for out of the Safe Schools grant. That is the stuff that they allowed for us to have, and kind of when we went through the whole surveying and going through all of our plans and our schools and what they needed and some of their desires, and where they kind of gave us a few extra dollars in the pot. That's what this is going for, to kind of get. And this will have all of our schools completely done. This will have every building that we have completely done, with the exception of here. Other than that, everything will be complete. And if we have to roll over, something till next year, that'll be fine too. That's what we're looking at this year. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, how about Paulette King, food service?
I'm glad you saved the best for last, Miss Esther.
You're not last.
Oh, that means you're not the best.
You're the best.
Okay, I do have 2 things that I need to put on the agenda for the consideration and approval from the board. One is to renew my Genio bid, my processing bid with Genio for the turkey products that I serve. And the second one is the counties and which is called the Northwest Eastern Tennessee Buying Group. we have completed and bid out our chicken processing bid, and the winner of that was approved was Gold Creek Foods, and I would like to put that on the agenda for Scott County to do their own approval for processing the chicken products with Gold Creek. We all said, and we all did our own tabulations and everything, and I have the entire bid. If anybody wants to see the whole thing, it takes about a ream of paper to print the whole thing off, so I didn't think that was something need to be printed, but if you would like to have a copy, we'll make sure that anybody gets one. The next thing that I would like to say is that we also have been working on what's our group is called the East Tennessee Buying Group, and we've been working on our food and non-food bid together. This has been going on for months. We finally have completed that and have it ready to put out for bid, and hopefully have that completed and to award in April. So that will be in the process coming. I have to have all the commodity planning done for the next school year. My report is due in Friday, so I've almost got that completed. So we'll be ready to start next year, and hopefully on a more normalcy. I'd also like to say thank you to Mr. Shannon for all that he did to help us get the shed or the top on our centralized freezer that's out by the maintenance garage. And if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. It looks very good and everything is protected. And I have to say that the freezer has already paid for itself during all the bad weather that we had. Our freezers and no electricity at Fairview. And a thank you to our maintenance crew who went out and got all of our stuff out of the coolers and freezers and transported those and put them into the freezer. It caused us from losing thousands of dollars of products. So it's been a wonderful thing, and I can't say enough for what maintenance does for the school nutrition department. And I'd also like to ask you all just to remember some of our cafeteria staff. We've had a couple that's had surgery and in the hospital, and another one that is that has also been very sick and in the hospital, and they're out. And just keep them in your prayers that they can get back with us and get to feeling better. And also to the public, we are continuing our food distributions. They are every Friday from 1 to 2. Now that all students are back in school 5 days a week, virtual will receive the 7 meals, and any other students can also receive 2 days of meals. So that'll be 2 days and 7 days. And that's all I have, unless you all have something for me.
Okay, thank you. What about Mr. Murley? Keith Murley, was he?
I think he's heading to Kingston.
Okay. What about Miss Amanda Stevens with Finance?
Hello.
Hello.
All right. For the agenda, I have General Purpose Amendment number 4. This is just to clean up everything and just make sure all the line items are balanced out for the end of this fiscal year. Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker, for mentioning the window tinting, and just to make sure everybody knows, this does come from the Safe Schools grant.
Usually Amanda gets to go before us.
And I finished our self-assessment monitoring and our district plan last week. And as Mr. Shannon had mentioned, I also want to thank those teachers who helped make the decision on that 2-year math gap. They took extra time after school and met virtually and in person to look over the books and make sure that they were making the best decision for their school and for our district. The CFA, which is our federal application, it opened up yesterday. They've not gave us any allocations yet, but I am able to go in and work on that. So it will be due May 1st. So hopefully we'll have some allocations soon. And then last, the ESER 2.0 is due to the state by March 15th. Hopefully we'll get this finalized and submitted to that. I think that's 2 weeks from yesterday. And then tentatively, we're supposed to have an approved plan back by April 1st, and then we should be able to start spending those funds on those projects, whatever the group decides on. And then those funds will have to be obligated by 20 of 23. And that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions for me.
Are you having the meeting Thursday morning?
Thursday morning, yes.
Yes, 9 o'clock.
Okay,
I'll be here.
here, okay, thank you. Okay, next, Miss Debbie Sexton, in special ed.
I do not see her.
How about Linda Keaton?
Linda won't be with us, she's in Chattanooga, but I've got Linda's report.
Okay, I guess you'll be next, Mr. Hall.
Thank you. First of all, items for the agenda. Would like to ask the board to request the director to bid the following for related services for special education, OT, PT, speech services from behavioral analysis, vision, and hearing. Also on this month will be the director's evaluation. I believe that does complete all the items for the agenda for this month. First of all, I would like to take time, as everyone's already said, to thank Mr. Shoemaker, Ms. Rosemary Jeffers, especially Ms. Karen Hamby and the Scott County Department of Health. The communication, the work, the time, the effort, and the professionalism that they showed and how they got us through in and out down there was simply amazing. As Mr. Shoemaker mentioned, they did 148 in 2 days, plus 2 that was carried over on Wednesday. And that's plus with the general public. So they had it scheduled beautifully, and it went through terrifically. And I can't thank them enough for doing what they've done, not only for schools, but for our county. And I know they've been working diligently, and hopefully as we get to the next phase, that people will continue to get the vaccine. Also want to thank this board for allowing me to work with Scott High School, and also for the donation to the Austin East family with the tragedy they went through the month of February. You had 3 students were shot, 3 Austin East students were shot, 1 directly after school, after leaving school. So our prayers are still with that community and still with that school. And again, thank you guys for allowing us to do that. It's greatly appreciated. Also want to congratulate top academic students for Scott High School. That's a tremendous honor for those kids, for the diligent effort, and the time they spent on their education. Also thank those parents that have been behind those kids and overseeing that your child did well. Again, congratulations, guys. Honor well deserved. As Mr. Director said, we did get approval from the health department right now to go ahead and start planning the prom and also the graduations. So that is a big plus for all of us. So let's hope that we continue on this trend, and that we will be able to continue with those as we can finish out the school year. As some of our principals also mentioned, that March 12th will be the end of the 9 weeks. Right now we have parent-teacher conferences that are scheduled March 15th, the week of. We haven't finalized everything. You know, we may use a couple of days per school, because I'll start getting with principals in the morning to start setting schedules. We'll get everything out, get it online. The principals get everything out to their students and their teachers. We'll be doing those virtually or by phone. I believe it's how we did it in the fall. Is that correct? If I'm can remember, it seems like it's been forever since we've done that. But again, we'll be with all the principals. We'll get our schedule. It'll be the week of the 15th. We'll finalize the days for the middle school and elementary and the high school moving forward. As far as what Ms. Keaton had for the board, she did want to remind everyone on the Reading 360 grant, the K2 classroom teachers, who choose to will be able to participate in 1 week online in the spring on their own time, and 1 week of in-person training on foundational skills the week of June 14th. Those teachers who complete both of the trainings will receive a $1,000 stipend. Also a reminder, she would like to ask for the calendar committee, we need to replace one member, and I would like to add this to the agenda. We need to replace Ms. Robin Newman, who's had to take a medical leave. We'd like to replace her with Ms. Emily Brooks in that position. Again, our committee will meet on Tuesday, March the 9th. Let's see if I've left anything out from Ms. Linda's. No, I think that has it. As the principal mentioned to our spring sports, or just around the corner next week, the middle school soccer beginning next Tuesday. Also middle school baseball will begin next week, or actually this week, weather permitting. High school baseball and softball too will be starting next week. Touch base on it real quick. I know some of you will receive some phone calls about some students wanting to participate from the virtual academy, specifically softball. We were not able. We had 6 girls that were participating in the girls softball program. It is sad to say that we will not be participating in girls softball at the middle school this year. For the past 2 seasons, we have played middle school softball in the fall to not compete with the girls soccer, because the girls soccer is always been tremendous for in our middle schools, and they play in the spring. I'll look as we finish this season, look from there. Hopefully that we'll be able to pick the girls softball back up in the fall. As I said, I think they had 6 that was attending practice, and you need a minimum of 9 to play, and we really felt like we needed 12 to 13 girls, especially with COVID and everything. If still, could happen in order to compete. I do hate that tremendously. Myself personally, I speak from a personal standpoint. I've had 2 girls that played fast pitch softball and a granddaughter. 2 girls that played at the high school level, also played in college. So it's saddened when we have to, lose a program, drop a program at this time. But hopefully we will be able to continue that in the fall next year. I know Ms. Tanya mentioned about, we do have to write a letter. I think Ms. Tanya needs to send a letter to the TMSAA to ask for the Winfield girls. Is that the boys also, or just the girls right now?
1 boy, 5 girls.
1 boy, 5 girls, to do a co-op program with Birchfield School. So look forward to that. And they will start as, I guess, immediately, and we'll get that. It will get approved once the letter is sent to the TMSAA. Guys, that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions for me.
What about a board retreat? Don't we need to plan?
Board retreat, we do. Whatever day's good for you guys. I'm going to make sure number 1 at Miss Kim, she's back. And Miss Kim, it is so good to see you.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, by the way.
Very good.
So, I mean, if you guys are willing to look, I know I do have a superintendent's meeting in Nashville this March. They are going to start. It's been 13 months since we have met as superintendents. So we are going to meet for the legislative session, legislative conference, and agenda, I should say, will be this month in Nashville. You guys look at your calendars. If you want to do it this month in March or early in May. So whatever day is good with you guys. I know we have the last week, March is our spring break. So we could do it not the last week I'll be in, like I said, in Nashville. If you all want to come the first week back from spring break, if that would be good with you guys, and what we'll do.
Spring break is when?
The exact dates right here in my calendar. Start March 29 through April 2nd. Is that correct, guys? I think what we have. So if you want to go that Tuesday, April 6th, would that work for everyone? You guys will check your calendars.
April 6th.
Yeah. Hopefully by then we may have some ideas about our budget. Also, I'll bring you guys.
You have a work session on that day as well.
would you guys be okay doing it that day? Also, still, I mean, it's whatever you got, do it that morning, and you have a break, and then go to workstation, that okay? Or we can go the next day. Like I said, whatever's good for you guys.
We'll set it for April the 6th that morning, and then
What time we start?
We can start here at, whatever time you guys want to get started. I'll have you some breakfast ready, and we'll get it going. So,
8 or 8:30.
That's fine.
8:30 good?
That's fine.
8:30 good with you, Ms. Carlin, Ms. Linda?
Yes.
Derek and Tommy, you guys on there still?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
They good? Okay. I've
good,
not received anything from the finance committee yet, or finance director, about our meeting that we have with, in front of the budget committee. So I've not received that yet. When I do that, I'll let you guys know. I'll be bringing forth some items at that time in our retreat. I would like to take before the committee and all that. If you guys got anything you want specifically, please email me or call me, and I'll make sure we'll have that ready for you there at that time.
Okay. Arlene, do you have anything?
Just want to echo that I'm glad to see you back,
Thank you.
feeling better.
Yes.
Glad that our COVID numbers are dropping.
Oh, yes. So glad.
And to mention that, I think there's been one positive student the last 2 weeks. We did have 2 staff last week. The numbers are way down, not just school, but in countywide and statewide. So that is tremendous.
Mr. Silcox, do you have anything?
No, I'm good. Did you say that was April 16th?
April 6th.
April 6th. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I'm good. Everything's going good, and I'm thankful for what everybody does.
Thank you. Ms. Linda?
I just want to say I appreciate all the different ways the schools have showed their appreciation to us, and there's no way that we can express how sincere we feel about what all that's been done in the schools this year. The staff, the workers, bus drivers, everybody that's got school attached to their name in any way.
It has taken everyone.
It is taking everybody, and everybody has stepped up and done an outstanding job. Thank you. And Miss Kim, we're glad you're here.
Oh, I'm so glad to be back. I'm just thankful for the prayers that everybody's given me. It's just glad to be back out in the open around people. It's just wonderful. And I want to thank everybody for all the effort they've done this year. It's been a hard year. It even took everybody at central office too. Let's not forget them. I mean, it takes them too. They carry a load too. So, but I appreciate everybody.
You used to tired of looking at Philip all the time, weren't you?
Yes.
That's you, Lou.
I just want to have special thanks. Greg, your technology are keeping it going good. Brent, everybody's impressed with the way the COVID went, the shots. Keith, maintenance, great job. Paulette, food service, teachers, transportation, central office. It's a difficult situation turned into a workable one because of technology. Good job.
Brent, I hope that all these teachers don't feel like I did after I got my second shot. You'll have a lot of teachers out if they do.
That's what we're hoping also. So we did hear of a few having side effects, but it's nothing that was not expected, they've already warned us about. So I mean, we're thankful for that.
Yeah.
Mr. Derek Sexton, do you have anything?
Well, Tanya, she reminded me just how happy I am to see the kids back in the schools. Now I've got 3 that I get out of the house, and that's a plus too. But just knowing that the kids are back in school on that routine, and that somewhat gives us the routine as well, I think. I'm just so happy to see that happen, and thankful for everybody that's made it able to happen. So I just want to say I'm thankful for that. And that's all for me.
Okay, thank you. What about Mr. John Beatty? Is he with us?
I am. I'll kind of echo what Derek said. I appreciate all the efforts that keep the system going. There's been several days I've had to stay at home with my daughters, but the last few days I could drop them off at school and then come to the office and relax for a change. But I appreciate everyone's efforts to keep the system going.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything? If not, we can go home.
All right.